this segment just is very brief, kind of tying back electrocardiography to psychology, because this is actually a class in the psychology department. So heart rate is often one of the psychophysiologist's favorite measure, because there's so much that can be extracted from it. Typically, if the heart rate is increasing, we can surmise perhaps that there is some sort of stress. Sometimes the stress is strictly physiological. If you have been sitting in a chair for a long time and you stand up, your heart rate will go up to adjust. So it isn't always reflecting emotional stress, but many studies have found that that physiological stress of the increase in heart rate does correspond to emotional stress as well. We have some cute visuals to keep you engaged. A decrease in heart rate can signify recovering from a stressful period or from an activating period. It can also signify that you're paying attention to something. So what often happens is something that's called somatic quieting. The body quiets itself. The heart rate goes down so that the mind can pay attention to something. This happens sometimes if you're asking a participant in a research study to pay attention and do a math problem. It can also happen if something unexpected occurs, unexpected for the participant, a loud noise, a surprise. They will typically have an eye blink and they'll be startled, and then their heart rate will go down and they'll try to pay attention to whatever, orient to whatever the outside influence was. Last really important aspect of heart rate is studying the variability of the heart rate itself. Back in time, researchers thought that seeing all that variability, because it was messy, it was somehow a sign of ill health. Well, it's since been found and well documented in the research that heart rate variability is a sign of adaptability and health. And so now there's a ton of research going on trying to see how much heart rate variability somebody had, and they've tied it to an incredible variety of healthy outcomes if you have a lot of variability, and unhealthy outcomes if you don't have much variability. So they typically say the heart is not a metronome. It should not be a metronome, and if you find a participant that's got a very metronomically looking heart rate, you are very often, and many studies have found this, to see somebody who is scoring high on anxiety questionnaires, on trauma questionnaires, on worry questionnaires, panic. It's just amazing how frequently you'll see these correspondences. So variability is good. So just to kind of draw that out a little bit more, heart rate variability, HRV for short, is researched in a number of studies in the psychophysiology literature, specifically high frequency heart rate variability. So there's a way to do fast Fourier transform or an autoregressive technique, different very fancy techniques to extract the different spectral components of heart rate variability. And the high frequency spectrum has a very high correspondence with parasympathetic nervous system, which is kind of that rest and digest system of the body. So having access to that, being able to measure high frequency heart rate variability gives people a sense of parasympathetic influence over that person at that time.